We spend thousands on high-tech security to protect our businesses and our homes from the outside world. We are obsessed with external threats, for good reasons, of course. But what if there is another threat? What happens when the virus isn't in your software? What if the thief didn't kick in the back door, but is actually sitting across the boardroom table from you, or even worse, across the dinner table? Sometimes the real threat is already inside. Welcome back to the CEO Soapbox podcast, episode number 3. I am your host, Neda Farzad, and thank you for being here. If you've been in the business game as long as I have, 25 years of building, advising, and occasionally putting out some fires, you know that business isn't just about strategy or cash flow. It is about, that's right, people. And let's be real, people can be messy. Most of us pride ourselves on being good judges of character. We think we can spot a liar from kilometers away, but the truth is, the most dangerous people aren't the obvious con artists. They are the ones we let into our inner circle. We do. The ones we trust, the ones we defend, the ones we marry, the ones we are friends with, and the ones we call our family. So today we're going to have a very uncomfortable conversation here. We are talking about how to spot a bullshitter in your inner circle, whether that's a business partner, a key employee, and yes, even a friend or a family member. Now I'm going to hit you with something controversial right out of the gate. In my opinion, we've been brainwashed into thinking that loyalty equals blind trust. We are told that questioning the people closest to us is some kind of ultimate betrayal. And yeah, that includes our parents. But honestly, since when did family become a free pass to avoid accountability? Here's my perspective. Sometimes the biggest bullshitter in your life is the one you least expect. And often is the person you're working the hardest to protect. So, what are we tackling in this episode of CEO Soapbox podcast? First, we are going to look at the professional side, how to spot the subtle signs of deception in partners and employees before they cost you a fortune. Then we're going to pivot to the personal sides. Ooh, this is the hard stuff. Identifying toxicity in friends and family. We'll talk about the real costs of ignoring these red flags. And finally, I'm going to give you practical steps to clean the house. That's the steps I've started using, and I advise my clients to do the same. And here's for you for free. You can take it if you choose to. By the end, you have the tool to spot and deal with the bullshitters in every corner of your life. Now, like I said, we start with the business. We've all hired someone who looked amazing on paper. Yeah, great CV. I know, charming in the interview, knew all the right buzzwords. But then 6 months later, you're wondering, why nothing getting done? So how do you spot these people before the damage is done? You look for the gap. The bullshitter thrives in the gap between what they say and what they do. So I'm going to give you 3 telltale signs. Number 1 is a jargon shield. So when you ask a simple question about a metric or a deadline, or do you get a straight answer? Or do you get a word salad of synergies and paradigm shifts? A competent person can explain complex problems simply. A bullshitter, on the other hand, hides behind the complexity to mask incompetency. The second one is the victim hero. Oh my goodness, we all have them. Watch out for the person who is always the hero of their own story, but somehow, simultaneously, always the victim of the circumstance. I would have hit the target, but marketing dropped the ball. I fixed the client issue, but the software team didn't support me. You see, they take the credit for the win, but never ownership of the failure. The third one, my favorite, is a selective memory. This is subtle. They forget you agreed on a deadline. They misunderstood the clear instructions. If you find yourself constantly having to re-explain the basic to a senior leader, you are not dealing with a communication issue, my friend. You are dealing with a deception issue. I once worked with a CEO who had a sales leader who was charming as hell. Yeah, he was. I met him. Everyone loved him, but sales were flat. Every quarter, he had a brilliant excuse. The market, the product, the economy, and my favorite one was the marketing team. The CEO kept him on for 2 years because he liked his energy. I know we have to take some ownership. The CEO had to take some ownership. That energy cost the company £2 million in lost revenue. That's an expensive person to have in your team. My advice to this CEO was be straight with him. No games. I hate sugarcoating, so no sugarcoating. Have the tough conversation, lay it all out, and then let him know he needs to leave. It's not easy, but sometimes you've just got to rip the band-aid off. You thank yourself later. Now, the fun stuff. We talked about business, right? Let's talk about the personal Trojan horse. It is infinitely harder to spot a bullshitter when they are sitting at your dinner table. We have emotional blinders on for family and friends. We make excuses for them that we would never, ever make for an employee. Or even for ourselves, to be honest. Sometimes we're more critical of ourselves than anyone else or family. But the signs are there if you're willing to look. From my experience, the biggest red flag in personal relationships: inconsistency. Does this friend only call when they need something? Do they celebrate your wins, or do you sense a little dig every time you succeed? Or right when you have your life sort of in order, they don't want to see you anymore? There is a specific type of personal bullshitter that I call the dream killer. This type of character could be a close family member or a friend. They present themselves as a realist. You tell them about a new venture, a bold idea, and they immediately list 10 reasons why it will fail. They frame it as looking out for you. I just don't want you to get hurt, Neda. Are you sure you can handle that much stress? That isn't care. That's projection. They are projecting their own fear and mediocrity onto you because the carers will have a solution. They want you in a box because your growth highlights their lack of. And then there is a gaslighter. Ooh, that's an expensive one. This is the family member who rewrites history right in your face. You confront them about the hurtful comment or behavior, and suddenly you are the one who is too sensitive or can't take a joke or I didn't mean it. They make you question your own reality. As leaders, we rely on our gut instincts. Gaslighters dull that instincts. That's their speciality, and that is dangerous. Now, let's talk about the cost of tolerance. We all know deep down that cost of tolerating these bullshitters is huge. So why do we keep these people around? Usually it's because it's uncomfortable to confront them. We don't want drama. We don't want to be the bad person. We do want to fit in. But let's talk about the cost. if you have a bullshitter in your executive team, the cost isn't just the salary. It's the morale of your high performance. Your A players know who the fakers are. And when they see you tolerating it, they lose respect for you. They check out. In your personal life, the real cost isn't just money. It's far bigger. It's your energy, your peace, your goddamn sanity, and your precious life. One precious life. Is playing by everyone else's rule really worth that price? I made a commitment to myself last year and that I protect my energy like I protect my bank account. Actually, even more so. You can always make more money, but you cannot make more time or mental bandwidth. Don't let the world drain you dry just because you're following a script you didn't even write. Every minute you spend managing the ego of a deceptive friend or fixing a mess of a lying family member is a minute you aren't spending on your vision, on yourself, on your health, or the people who actually support you and love you. You cannot build a great life or a business empire with two Bobs people in your ear. It doesn't work. Now, I know, I can clearly see the eye rolling. I know that some of you are thinking, but Neda, I've known him since college. But she's my sister. But he helped me when I was starting out. I get it. Loyalty is a beautiful thing. And I know you're a loyal person. I know. But loyalty is a two-way street. If someone is deceiving you, manipulating you, or draining you, they have broken the contract of loyalty. You don't owe them your future just because they were part of your past. Sometimes outgrowing people is the price of admission for the life you want. I know, it sucks. It does. It hurts. But it's necessary. So how do we deal? I know, I told you how to clean the house. So how do we deal with bullshitters at work and at home? So you don't need a dramatic confrontation or the old school of my way or highway approach. It's about strategy, clarity, and compassion. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. I'm going to share my 4-step that I use for me, and I suggest to everyone who asks. I know you're listening, so I'm assuming you asked. Right, so step 1, the audit. Take an honest inventory of your inner circle, both at work and in your personal life. Who consistently lifts you up and who leaves you second guessing, drained, or covering for them? Write those names down. Yes, even if it hurts to see their name on the page. You got to feel the pain. That's normal. You're human. Step 2, trust, but verify. So in a professional setting, don't just take someone's word for it. If you're feeling there's something, no matter how confident or charming that person seemed like, back up your trust with fact. Back up your gut feelings with facts. Review the numbers, sit in on a few meetings, and pay attention to follow through. Most people will respect clear expectations and accountability. Trust me, most of us do. If someone gets all defensive about being called out or tries to weasel out being transparent, guess what? That's your red flag right there. In your personal circle, trust your gut and watch for the patterns. Does your interaction leave you uneasy or feeling manipulated? Does support only flow one way? Compassionate curiosity goes a long way. Sometimes a gentle question can open honest dialogue. And don't ignore your own discomfort. You've got to be honest with yourself and feel your feeling. Step 3, we want to navigate removal with compassion. Whether it's an employee, business partner, friend, or family member, remember, you don't have to burn it all down. In business, if someone's not the right fit and isn't willing or able to step up, even after feedback, have a direct and respectful conversation. This isn't working out. Don't drag it out, but don't brutalize them either. Dignity matters. For personal relationships, I know it's even trickier. This is up to you what you feel comfortable you want to do. You want to cut them out or you want to have a conversation. You can start by setting healthy, gentle boundaries. Maybe you share a little less or say no when you need to without over-explaining yourself. This is important, give yourself permission to protect your energy and honor your needs. Relationship might ebb and flow. Some will eventually drift off. Others may surprise you and deepen. Not every situation demands a formal cutoff. Sometimes slow, intentional distance is all that you needed. The main goal, honesty, kindness, and respect for yourself and the other person. Then when you've done all the 3 steps, we're going to get to step 4. I want you to raise your standards. Across both worlds, the ultimate shield is a culture of truth, where it's safe to admit mistakes, ask hard questions, and be real. Set this tone and you attract people who value honesty and growth, while giving the bullshitter nowhere left to hide. In my opinion, the best defense against bullshitters is a culture of transparency and openness. In my business, we value truth over comfort. If you create an environment where it's safe to say, I messed up, you remove the incentive to lie and be deceptive. Bullshitters can't survive in a culture of truth. They suffocate. All right, let's do a quick recap what we talked about. We talked about the professional chameleon, the one hiding behind jargons and victimhood. We talked about the personal Trojan horse, the realist friend or gaslighting family member. We discussed the massive costs of putting up with these assholes. Yes, I said it. We're talking lost money, lost talent, lost energy, lost time. One precious life we have. We don't want to lose a minute. And we covered the audit. It's time to take a hard look at who is sitting at your table. Remember that saying, I know that you probably think your head 1,000 times, but you are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. And if one of them is full of shit, your average just went down. Don't let that happen. You and your life is important. People who love you, they need you. Thanks for joining me on the Soapbox today. If this resonated with you or even just made you think, do me a favor and hit subscribe or share it with someone who needs to hear it too. Want to continue the conversation, or maybe you think I'm full of shit and want to tell me why? Let's connect. Find me on LinkedIn under Neda Farzad, and that's NEDA FARZAD, or on Instagram and Facebook at Neda Farzad Official. Wishing you an amazing week ahead. Until next time, stay curious and stay kind. Bye for now.